The marchers demonstrated in front of the Portuguese embassy as a protest against that government's colonial domination of Angola, Guinea-Bissau, and Mozambique. In front of the South African embassy and the Rhodesian Information Center, because of their racist minority regimes which rule over the black majority population. And here, in front of the U.S. State Department, to protest this country's trade agreements with South Africa and importation of Rhodesian chrome ore, despite a United Nations embargo against it. In spite of this demonstration, a week later, the U.S. Senate upheld the right of America to continue to import Rhodesian chrome ore. It defeated the McGee Anti-Rhodesia Amendment. The demonstrators then congregated at the Washington Monument, renamed Lumumba Square.
As Malcolm said, we must not be content letting backward Negro politicians decide our fate and sell us out. We must do battle with them. We must do battle with them. We must do battle with the Democratic Party and the Republican Party or any other white parties that try to claim black loyalty or represent black leadership. And we must put together a nationalist party, a Pan-Africanist party. What the National Black Political Convention tried to do in Gary was to set out on the course toward creating a political structure that has a black value system, a political structure that can move the masses of the people, a political structure that understands Pan-Africanism and the struggle all over the world to unify African people and to liberate the continent of Africa and to create self-determination for African people wherever they are. I think that today proves, first of all, that those of us who are talking about nationalism and talking about Pan-Africanism, that there is a constituency for that. There are over 25,000 people here in Washington today talking about nationalism and Pan-Africanism, talking about African liberation. So the next time anybody wants to tell you that you don't have a constituency or ideology is in the minority, point out the fact of the 25,000 or 30,000 people who came to Washington, D.C. today to celebrate African Liberation Day, to support African liberation.
The architect of the concept, Unity Without Uniformity, Imamu Baraka, is also head of the Committee for a Unified Newark and was a co-chairman of the recent Black Political Convention. He has evolved as a leading spokesman for Pan-Africanism and Black nationalism.
Today we have opened the collective floodgates of memory and traveled back over the centuries to those days when they brought our slave forebearers in chains to the west coast of Africa, chained one to another, each beside one of another tribe so that they could not understand one another's language. We remembered as we walked today how they led our ancestors into the deep, heavy darkness of the foul-smelling holds of the slave ships. How as they made their 3-month journey across the Atlantic, seeing nothing but darkness, hearing nothing but the groans and moans of their compatriots in suffering, and smelling nothing but the stench of their dead and dying comrades and the stench of their own defecation. As we marched, we cried out, "Oh, our fathers, what was it like to be stripped of all supports of life, save the beating of the heart and the ebb and flow of fetid air in the lungs? What was it like as you were stood on auction blocks and sold down the river to the highest bidder? Mothers separated from their children, fathers from their sons, brothers from their sisters, never to see one another again." We remembered all of that, and we have decided to answer the call of our ancestors and the call of our black brothers in Africa. And for that historic occasion, certainly we are all thankful.
Guinea gonna win!
Long live Angola!
Long live Angola!
Angola is gonna win!
Angola is gonna win!
Long live Mozambique!
Long live Mozambique!
Mozambique is gonna win!
Mozambique is gonna win!
Long live Africa!
Long live Africa!
Africa is gonna win!
Africa is gonna win!
Long live People's War!
Long live People's War!
People's War is gonna win!
People's War is gonna win!
Long live Africa!
Long live Africa!
Africa must unite!
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 Down with white racism!
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 Africa shall triumph!
Africa shall triumph!
Pull the fight together, Guinea. We with you, Southern Sudan. Fight on, running wise, Mozambique. Jump quick, lightning, Felinzi. Teach Neri. Watch our backs, our CG4. Guide our future, Lumumba. Describe our enemies, Garvey. We're coming, Touré. Coming, Pachi. Going to surprise the world, surprise our fathers, Malcolm. We have more than Mark, more than fast talk, more than Harvard rhetoric. We are coming. We are what we are. We are what we are not. We are what we are going to be. Coming. Coming, rising to the higher beat of African rhythm, coming, dancing hard, making sense, remembering Sharpeville, remembering Orangeburg, coming, remembering yesterday's planet, rising out of the earth fast, challenging new thoughts, challenging concepts of the gods, coming, elevator up, Juju, black world vibrations beat into each other, coming, rise through visions of African love, rise, coming feet, get back negative, we come and shine, fighting through space, sun is sliding closer to the expected, coming nationalists, coming Christian, coming Muslims, coming rise ancient black spirit, coming, rise boo-boo, rise brothers, rise sisters, rise people of the summer, we are coming, come in, we are here quick, gathered to save the future for our children.
Right on! Let's have it for him, God lead. Yes, sir. All right.
The spirit of the march and rally was one of the unique elements. Unlike most rallies of a political nature, camaraderie and self-expression were a major component. Each marcher, so to speak, did his own thing, but all in the context of a black tradition. Variations of the Black Power salute frequently ended in black embrace. Speeches followed marches, and marches followed drumming, singing, and dancing.
And when we were in the People's Republic of China, we had the fortune to meet with the president of Frelimo, the Front for the Liberation of Mozambique, with President Carlos Machel. And I want to tell you in a few words that they're really taking care of business in Mozambique. And I guess I don't have to tell you that they're taking care of business in Guinea-Bissau. As a matter of fact, our people are struggling to liberate our motherland. We know that the Vietnamese people are struggling to liberate their territory. And there's a very significant thing that has taken place in the last few hours in the history of the world, because they have made a pact. And do you know who they are? We talk about Kosygin and Brezhnev and Bergonier and Nixon. Yesterday they were enemies, and today they made a pact. So the enemy is uniting. And so are we, brother, that's right. And this is what is beautiful, that we are uniting here today, that we put aside many petty and small differences, because the hour is too late and the time is too desperate for us to be talking about the small differences. The people of the black and the third world must unite against the common enemy, because the common enemy is definitely uniting against us. I don't have any words that I could tell you, because we've told each other something. The thing to do is to go beyond today and to deal with tomorrow and tomorrow, to liberate this territory, to talk about liberating the United States of America, so that if we want to go to the motherland, they're liberating territory right now, and we can go there. And when they want to come here, we can say, we have a place prepared for you.
Now give thanks, royal family, once again. African Liberation Day internationally around the globe. And we're talking about 2024, and you are actually listening to a African Liberation Day demonstration in 1972. And this was literally held, as you would have heard, right there by the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. And the theme, again, African Liberation Day, a United States of Africa, and as well freeing up the African countries that were definitely under the yoke of colonialism and being exploited for their riches, their wealth, their mineral assets by the wicked world. But family, give thanks. As you could see within the title, no Haile Selassie, no African Liberation Day. And it may sound a bit harsh to some people to even say it like that. But you see, in our case, it has to be said like that. Today is African Liberation Day. Many speeches have been given, and many speeches are to be given before the night is over. Many Zoom broadcasts have been done, even leading up to today. I would have witnessed some of them. I would have observed some of these broadcasts and listened to some of the speeches. Haile Selassie is void in the narrative. Now, this is, I mean, like, wow. And just to show you, family, this is why we who know the truth have to speak louder than those who are hiding the truth as such. Our own people, our own conscious brothers and sisters. You just heard that poetry there a while ago by, I think his name was Don Lee. And in his poem, he highlighted, I think, almost all of the African leaders, from Nyerere and Kenyatta and, of course, Nkrumah and Toure. And when he ran out of African leaders, he jumped to Malcolm X, and I think he said, but anyway, he came up the line. But I don't remember, maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong, hearing Haile Selassie's name. This is 1972. Not today, no. 1972. All the list, it's almost like the the list of kings, which was done by Seti I. You know of the list of kings done by Seti I, the father of Ramesses the Great. And within this king list, there are 76 names in the king list, but 2 of the king's names missing and a queen. The name of Queen Hatshepsut is not there in the king's list, and the name of Akhenaten and Tutankhamun is missing also in the king's list. To the point that those who do not understand the science will tell you, well, this is because they were heretic, like Akhenaten and Tutankhamun, and they weren't really dealing with the real stuff. So Seti, the mighty general, because he was really, you know what I mean, he's a Idi Amin kind of mentality, and so is Ramesses II. He said, hey, move these fellas out of the list. We don't want them in the list. They don't mean anything to the list. Well, that's not my outlook, and I know King Seti didn't look at it like that at all. Akhenaten and Tutankhamun, I mean, the feathered snake and the first Christ, they're bigger than that list. That's for sure. The feathered snake and the first Christ, much bigger than the list, and that's really what it means. And the necklace of Tutankhamun really highlights that. In fact, that's almost like another subject, because really now, in the case of Haile Selassie I, as I said, many times when I hear the narrative around African Liberation Day and a United States of Africa, and you know, the freeing up of Africa, you hear the list of kings called. What missing from the list of kings is the King of Kings. It happens all the time. Very few, only on very few occasions, you'd hear speakers mention Haile Selassie I. Everybody loves P.L.O. Lumumba, don't you? Yeah, man, we all love P.L.O. Patrick Lumumba, you know. Never really got the chance to meet him as yet, but I believe he's a very good brother. I definitely love, you know, his intellect. Without a doubt, nobody have no problem with that at all, you know. But in his narrative, he loves to speak about the founding fathers. And I would hear His Majesty's name mentioned in his roll call, for sure. But we know himself, like many other intellects and scholars, they do not emphasize the glory of Haile Selassie. They don't. They don't, and take it from me, there's a lot to emphasize. You know, we don't have to get religious at all. I don't know if the religious thing is what, you know, holds our wise ones, our intellects, our scholars, the lights amongst us, those who are in the spotlight of the world. Why is it that when we speak of African history and African heritage, Haile Selassie I has to take a backbench? In fact, in many cases, he's not even in the class. It doesn't even appear to me as if he can come in the schoolyard. And I'm talking about not the white world, you know. I'm talking about our own professors, our own brilliant minds. Oh, well, I'm the head of the Reparation Commission. I never hear you say nothing about Haile Selassie I. You whisper Marcus Messiah Garvey's name, and then it's all about Kwame Nkrumah when you're talking about African liberation. And then outside of that, you know it's Martin Luther King. So where Haile Selassie fit in? Especially when it comes to African liberation. Now you see that one? We can't play around with that. Come on, man, we cannot play around with that. Nobody on earth could say anything about African liberation without Haile Selassie I. You may be saying, oh, come on, priest, no need to huff and puff. Huff and puff. Man, we blowing houses down here. We don't huff and puff. Maybe you just came in, as I said. I'm sure there were hundreds, maybe thousands of speeches given today, interviews, Zoom broadcasts and webinars and all kind of stuff. I mean, I wouldn't have seen them all. And I'm sure the emperor is mentioned, but let's just be straight. You know as well as I that if you're going to take a survey, you may not even come across one event where you heard Haile Selassie's name come up. You may have to search. Diligent search may have to be carried out by you and your team to hear the emperor being recognized for his part in organizing African unity. Now, first of all, as I said earlier in the Holy Sabbath message there, for those of you who were with us, Radio Anu, the international flavor, the universal spice. When Haile Selassie I was crushing Mussolini, many of the great leaders were not even born. And those who were born were just born. Young lads, you understand. Maybe the most coming out of high school or something, going to college, something like that. Nothing more than that. Outside of maybe the elder Jomo Kenyatta, we're speaking of some young lads in comparison to the King of Kings. And then when they were just, beginning to shave, the emperor was re-establishing Ethiopia. Have you ever read the autobiography of the King of Kings? In the autobiography, the King of Kings describes how hard it was. I mean, when the King of Kings explained to you the situation in Ethiopia after they defeated Italy, the emperor said he had to make up his mind to begin from scratch. In fact, I think in scratch, the king says in his book, he had to start from scratch. Millions, 20 million people in Ethiopia at the time. And everyone was like, scratch, nothing. We had to begin from nothing. That's 1941. And by 1955, we're talking about the greatest empire on the planet in wealth and riches. Have you ever seen the video Ethiopia 1955? That 25th anniversary Jubilee celebration was an international event. You could see it on the newsreel, the British newsreel, Haile Selassie's Jubilee, Silver Jubilee. And at that time, Ethiopia was already bringing in teachers and still sending out students to the different universities all over the world to acquire higher education, which is a great part of Emperor Haile Selassie's plan, as he was the Minister of Education off the bat. And again, importing the education as well. Infrastructure. You watch the video, you would never know that a war would have passed through, Addis Ababa. And then Haile Selassie I now would have established, such a mighty kingdom, or re-established the kingdom, we should say, after 1941, to the point that we are now looking at the establishment of the Organization of African Unity by 1963. Because even when we are looking at the 25th anniversary of Haile Selassie's coronation, the Jubilee celebration, Ghana would not have received its independence as yet. And Uganda and Tanzania and Kenya was still, the Mau Mau was still fighting the British. But by 63, Kenya and Uganda and Tanzania could come together with Ethiopia This man was born there to establish the Organization of African Unity. When the emperor visited the United States in the same 63 and he met Kennedy, Kennedy clearly expressed to the world that this is the man responsible for the independent countries in Africa and in Asia, India included. Can you imagine that? And now we, today, African Liberation Day, speaking about African liberation and leaving out the chief liberator in all of our discussions, all over the world, amongst us, you know, the Africans. So it's not as if we vex with anyone. It's just that we got to make it clear, you know. And since we are the ones that are highlighting Haile Selassie the first, I think it is our job to highlight Haile Selassie the first, Rastafari. Yes, royal family, I hope you are all ready and prepared for this evening. I am ready and prepared. In a few short moments, we will be going straight into who is the Lion of Judah of Revelation chapter 5, the scholarly reasoning. Family, I sat down with the brothers today. In fact, before I go into that, let me let you know, it's not too late. You can still get your tickets right now. In fact, now is the time. We are on standby. The email is open, Priest Isaac Institute at gmail.com. You email us right now. You can get the pass. Well, you're going to need the pass now because we're going to start in a few minutes. We're starting at 7 o'clock. Who is the Lion of Judah of Revelation 5? And I sat with the brothers today. I'm the Bram Jack and Ras I Adonis, and both of them were quite excited to give a sneak preview of what they had. I even had to say, okay, it's all right, let's save that for later. And I'm telling you, those of you who are not going to be there, you are going to miss a serious scholarly discourse. Well, I mean, to be honest, everyone is not really serious about this, the true heavy scholarship, you know? So give thanks to those who are investing in themselves, because this is an investment into yourself, you know. And it's also supporting an extremely worthy cause. So I'm very thankful for those of you who would have showed, you know, who you are this time around. Because a lot of us, we can talk and talk and talk, you know, but when it comes time to support, a lot of us are not there. Many of us, we don't understand what it means. See, like today's African Liberation Day, that's one of the main things about African liberation. Supporting the cause, supporting our brothers and sisters, not because they have a different culture or a different flag or a different language, but we are all Africans. The brothers from the Ethiopian Orthodox Church are Africans. They identify with their Afrocentricity. And we are assisting them, the brothers and sisters of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Some of you consider that the mother church. We are assisting them to raise funds for their land that their church is on, right here in Antigua. And all we are asking those of you who are conscious-minded and conscious-hearted is to support this presentation that we are having tonight, even if you didn't know where the proceeds was going. This is a scholarly sit-down that can only benefit those of us who are seeking to grow in our mental stability when it comes to knowledge and information. So the door is still open, family. It's not too late. You understand? You know the email, Priest Isaac Institute gmail.com, Priest Isaac Institute at gmail.com, and just let us know. You could pay via PayPal, CashApp, and some other links. But once you email us, we're going to respond to you right away as we get into this evening. So we have our moderator Ras Kwame. He's also ready. Our first presenter will be Amde Branjak of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. And we are going to have the second presenter, which is Ras I Adonis of the Lion of Judah Society. And the first presenter, each presenter will have 2 minutes to make their opening statement. And then both will have 25 minutes to make their presentation, their official presentation. PowerPoint presentation. It's going to be PowerPoint, family. This is going to be a serious session. I hope you're there. And then after that, they're going to have 15 minutes to respond to each person's presentation. And then afterwards, they will be, each presenter will have will ask the other presenter 2 questions. And they have a minute to ask and 3 minutes to respond. And then from there, you, who will be in the audience, will be given the chance. So those of you who would have already made your purchase, if you have not received your link, well, you should have received your link already. But if you have not received your link and you would have already purchased your ticket, I would advise that you contact us right away, right now, because we're going to start in a moment. Yes, family, life giver and the keeper of life, Selassie. Jah. All right. Blessed love. It's not too late. Saturday, the 25th of May. 2 faiths, 2 different perspectives. 1 origin, Ethiopia. Ras I Adonis, Rabbi, Lion of Judah Society, the faithful of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. A scholarly discourse on the subject, who is the Lion of Judah of Revelation chapter 5. Get your tickets today.